Hi, I'm Rainbow Sparkle and I'm reading The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton, and this is Chapter 9, The House of the Three Bears. Bessie took a cushion, put it at the top of the slide and pushed off. Down she went, whizz! She shot to the bottom, flew out of the trapdoor and landed on the cushion of moss. She hardly could get up before Fanny flew out of the trapdoor too. "You know, that slippery slip is the greatest fun," said Bessie. "I'd like to do that all day long." "Yes, if only we didn't have to climb all the way up the tree first," she said. The trapdoor flew open, and in one shot, out came Moonface on a yellow cushion. He put the three cushions together, whistled to the red squirrel who looked after them, and threw them to him. He turned to the waiting girls. "There's a train at midnight," he said. "We shall have to hurry." The wood was still bright with moonlight, and the three of them hurried between the trees. Suddenly Bessie heard the chuffing of a train, and she and Fanny stopped in surprise. They saw a small train winding in and out of the trees, looking for all the world like a clockwork train made big. The engine even had a key still in its side. There was a small station near, and Moonface caught hold of the girl's hands and ran to it. The train was standing there quite still. The carriages had tin doors and windows which didn't open, just like those of a clockwork train. Bessie tried her hardest to open the door, but it was no use. The train whistled. It was anxious to be off. "Don't you know how to get on this train?" said Moonface. "Oh, the laugh. "You sillies, you just slide the roof off." As he spoke, he pushed at the roof, and it slid off, like a clockwork train's carriage. "I believe this is just like a clockwork train made big," the girl said, climbing over the side of the carriage and getting in the roof. "We've never seen such a funny train like this in our lives." They all got in, and Moonface couldn't seem to slide the roof on again properly, so he stood up in the carriage instead. And when the train was off, Bessie and Fanny, who couldn't possibly see out of the tin windows, stood up and looked out of the roof instead too. They did look funny. At the next station, which was called Dolly Station, 3 dollies got into the carriage and stared at them very hard. One was so like Bessie's own dolly at home, and she couldn't help staring back. The second station was called Crosspatch Station, and standing on the platform there were the crossest looking old women that the girls had ever seen. One of them got into the carriage, and the 3 dollies at once got out and climbed into the next one. "Move up," said the Crosspatch angrily to Moonface. He moved up. The Crosspatch was an uncomfortable person to travel with. She grumbled all the time, and her basket, which was full of prickly roses, kept bumping into poor Fanny. "There we are, here we are," sang out Moonface. And when they got to the next station, the 3 of them got out gladly, leaving the Crosspatch grumbling away to herself. The station was called Bear's Station, and there was a great many teddy bears around, some brown, some pink, some blue, and some white. When they wanted to talk to another one, they kept pressing themselves in the middle, where their growl was, and then they could talk very well. Fanny wanted to giggle when she saw them do this. It was so funny. "Please, could you tell me the way to the 3 bears' house?" Moonface asked a blue teddy politely. The bear pressed himself in the middle and answered in a nice growly voice, "Up the lane and down the lane and round the lane." "Oh, thank you," said Moonface. "It sounds a bit funny to me," said Bessie doubtfully. "Not at all," said Moonface, leading them up the little honeysuckle lane. "Here we are, going up the lane, And now you'll see us go downhill. So then we're going down the lane, and presently then we'll turn a corner and go round the lane. Well, he was right. They went up, and then they went down, and then they went around. In front of them, tucked into a woody corner, was the dearest, prettiest little house the girls had ever seen. It was covered with pink roses from top to bottom, and its tiny windows winked in the moonlight as if it had eyes. Moonface knocked at the door. A very sleepy voice. "Come in." Moonface opened the door and they all went in. There was a table in front of them, and on there was steaming bowls of porridge, and around it were 3 chairs, one big, one middle size, and one tiny. "It's the house of the 3 bears, all right," said Bessie, excited. It was just like receiving a fairy story come true. "We're here," said a voice from another room. Moonface went in with Bessie and Fanny, and the other room was a small bedroom with a big bed in it, and a middle-sized bed, and a tiny cot. In the big bed lay a large brown bear. In the middle-sized one was a fat mother bear, and in the cot was the most adorable baby bear with the bluest eyes that the girls had ever seen. "Where's Goldilocks?" asked Moonface. "Gone shopping," said the father bear. "Where does she sleep when she's here?" said Bessie, looking round. "And does she always live with you now?" "Always," said the father bear, putting his big nightcap straight. "She looks after us very well. There's a market on tonight in the Enchanted Wood, and she's gone there to see if she could buy some porridge cheap. As for where she sleeps, well, she just chooses any of our beds, you know, and we cuddle up together then. But she likes the baby bear's bed best, because it's so soft and warm." "She did that in the story," laughed the girls. "What story?" said Mother Bear. Well, the story of the 3 bears," said Bessie. "We've never heard of it," said the bears all together, which really seemed rather extraordinary to the girls. They didn't like to ask any more questions after that. "Oh, here's Goldilocks now," said Mother Bear. The sound of a little high voice could be heard coming nearer and nearer. The baby bear sprang out of his cot and ran to the door excited. A pretty little girl with long, curly, golden hair picked him up and hugged him. "Hello, darling," she said. "Have you been a good bear?" Then she saw Bessie and Fanny and Moonface and stared at them in surprise. "Oh, who are you?" she said. Moonface explained about Joe and how he'd gone to the land of ice and snow where the big white bears lived. "I'm afraid the magic snowman will make him prisoner there, perhaps," she said to Moonface, "and he'll have to live with the white bears." Could you get your 3 bears to come with us and ask the white bears to let Joe go free, do you think, Goldilocks?" "But I don't know the way," said Goldilocks. "We do," said Father Bear suddenly. "The white bears are our cousins. If you can help us with a bit of magic, we can visit the land of ice and snow in a few minutes." "Good gracious," said Bessie, most astonished. "But it was ever so far away, right at the top of the faraway tree." "That doesn't matter," said Father Bear. He took down a large jar from the mantelpiece and filled it with water. He put into it a yellow powder and stirred it with a magpie's black and white feather. Moonface put his hands into the water and began to sing a string of such strange words that Bessie and Fanny felt quite trembly. The water bubbled. It rose to the top of the jar. It overflowed and ran onto the floor. It turned to ice beneath their feet. A cold wind filled the little house and everyone shivered. Then Bessie looked out the window, and what she saw there filled her with such amazement that she couldn't say a word but just pointed. They both looked out, and whatever do you think? Outside lay nothing but ice and snow. They were now in the same land as Joe. Though how did this happen? Neither of the girls could make this out at all.